I'm glad you could make it. I'm just kind of waiting to see if there's a few other people here and then we'll get started. I can't see my screen and my chat at the same time with my tablet. It doesn't like me, so maybe I'll quick make sure I don't get off screen here. We'll put a little mark down where the end of the screen is. Hi, Darren. I'm just marking off where my end of my screen is so I don't get off here. Hi, Shannon. All right, I got a few people here. Let's get started. I am going to play with a variety of products tonight from the Ladybug Inspiration and subscription products. And some of the things that I'm going to play with are, I'm going to use the conversational clippings. And for them, which I'm going to use the black ones, a few of them, I think, if I remember correctly. Yes. And we're going to use the stencil of the month, which I don't have it out on a piece of paper because I have it all ready to go. Switch over the TV. Okay, no problem, Shannon, thanks. You put me on the screen this time. And then I'm also going to use the die of the month. And it's this awesome Love Bugs cutting die set. And they come in these awesome pouches. And this is something you can get as a subscription each month. And depending on the set, I sometimes keep them on a magnet. Sometimes I keep them in just a pouch. It just kind of depends, especially if it has some smaller pieces. 3 inches of snow, that's not terrible. Hey, Tia. Yes, Tracy, it's one of my favorite stencils. I've used it a few times. But if you look at the die here, we've got the body, and then there's the piece that can lay over it with the dots, and there's the bee body, and all sorts of pieces. So I did a bunch of my die cutting ahead of time, so we don't have to do that tonight since my machine doesn't fit on my table. So I like I said, I just keep them on a magnet and slip them right back in the pouch, so that when I want to flip through them, I can flip through them. So, are you ready to see what we're going to make tonight? Hi, Penny. How are ya? This is what we are going to make tonight. And I have some of it ready to go, and I just thought it'd be fun. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, and I kind of did a little bit of, research and kind of some inspiration on Pinterest, and saw some bug cards, and I thought that might be fun to do. So this is what we're going to create. It's a slimline card, and it's got lots of sparkle. I don't know if that's showing up in there or not, but let's get started. So first, this is my stick and step mat, and it is very well loved. If you didn't catch Shannon's video yesterday about the do's and don'ts to watch, go ahead and you should watch that, because mine obviously is well loved, and I do have a new one, but I'm going to use this one because this is my stick and stamp mat that I'm going to use with glazes, and I'm going to use my glitter glaze tonight, and this is the unicorn horn. So I always keep it on the plastic, and then when I'm not using it, I leave it in my Misty. So first thing we're going to do is find my piece of paper here, and we're going to stick it down. And I'm going to show you how I do a slimline card when you don't have a slimline stencil. So I do have it stuck up at the top there. Oh, thanks, Shannon. I really liked that card. It's really super cute. I just love those bugs. And so I'm going to take my stencil, and it's sticky. And even though I've used it a lot, I mean, I can't get my fingers on all of it since I have the paper on. It's still really sticky. So what I did is I'm going to have the stencil at the top, and I'm right at the edge, because I am going to end up cutting my panel down. And then this is a more delicate stencil, so I kind of push it down just to make sure everything's nice and sticky. And I do find that sometimes, because I have a little bit extra glitter in here, if I got a spot that I might have wiped some of that away, I might put just a tiny bit of tape, but I find I really don't have to do that. So we're going to take the glaze, and I'm just going to always mix it up good. And one trick I have found, and tip I've heard from other people, is to only go in one direction. And you know, when you're doing something with a delicate stencil, don't go back and forth, because that will help you from getting it to go under. So I'm going to use a um, silicone spatula because it's easier for me. And I'm just gonna, I don't care if it's perfect, I'm just trying to get it in and cover in all the spaces. This is more of a clear glaze, so you know it's just going to be sparkly, and you're going to see that white underneath. And like I said, I'm not trying to be super hard pushing. I'm trying to go one direction. It can be thin, it can be, you know, it doesn't have to be perfect, because, and then because I'm gonna cover most of it. Now this is where I kind of try to be really careful down here at the bottom, because I'm gonna show you how I do this when I want to make it a slimline, because slimlines and mini slims are some of my favorite cards, because I feel like you have so much more space, and you have more room to work, or you can have more white space. So like I said, I just do this, and then you know, if I need to wipe it off, you can. And then I'm going to very carefully just peel it off, and then just set it on my side here, and then I have that first part. So I'm just going to set this side aside to dry. Hi, Mom! And what I also like to do, and I'm just using a piece of scrap cardstock because I'm going to layer it, so that's why it kind of fell over. The stick and stamp mat, Annie, give me just 1 second. I'm going to put that aside to dry. It can fit in my Misty. Here, I have my new one here. So it fits right inside. So this is 0 to what, 8.5, and then 0 to what, 6. I'm not if it's 6.5. Okay, thank you, Penny. That's what it is. I like it for stenciling and ink blending, and in particular. But so now what I'm going to do is I do kind of try to scrape off very carefully. I'm going to use this up right away, the edges. Oh, Annie, they're awesome. You need one. So I have one that I already did and had it dried. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick it back down on the mat, and I flipped it upside down this time. And because it's a panel, if I get a little stuff on the outside, on the underside, it's okay. And I'm just going to push it down, and then I'm going to very carefully take this, and I'm going to, oh, I might not be able to do that. I apologize. I have to do it this way. I did this a couple days ago, so I don't remember. I just set it in and set it up a little higher. And then I line up the stencil, and because I'm going to cut my panel down, it's going to have just a little bit on the side, but I'm just going to line this up on top. And because this is a repeating pattern, you can get it in there. And this is where, because my paper dried a little bit and it's a little bit, I have enough glaze on it, I might have to do a little taping down to keep it, but I'm just going to go for it and be very careful. So then once I have that, I found that if I was very careful and I just put a little of the glaze, it puts my stencil and sticks it right to my paper. So I just can very carefully put the rest of it on. I've used a lot of this glaze up making this card, because I've made like 3 or 4 mats, but I really like it. So glitter glaze is one of my favorite things to add. And yes, I am going in a couple different directions of being a little careful with it. I'm not pushing, I'm just kind of spreading. And then I just kind of look, because this is a clear glaze, I'm just trying to make sure there's glitter in the holes. Okay? And then I'm just going to clean this all off. And I like to tap it down so it's not kind of sitting on the edge. And then make sure you always keep your piece of little plastic and put that on top. That'll help it from drying out. And then my other little tip is Gina, hi. This is one of my favorite stencils too. Is I have a little bucket, ice cream bucket with hot soapy water down on the floor where I won't kick it over. Does it have a consistency like Stickles? Kind of. You could kind of spread Stickles out. Um, it's kind of, it's like a see-through glue, but it's got glitter in it. I'll show you some, and I'll be seeing you some. You'll have to try some, but it dries. I'll show you what it looks like when it dries. So I'm gonna pull that. But like I do, I stick my stencil when especially if I'm gonna make a bunch of stuff. I stick my stencil, and in this case, I'm actually gonna stick both of my little tools in there, and then they just sit there until I'm done crafting. Oh yeah, the glitter glaze is, I like it because it dries kind of, I don't know if you can see, it's kind of flat. I'll show you my dry one. So now I'm just going to set this aside, and when I go to make a card with this, I'll just cut that bottom off. Okay, and then very carefully I wipe up the extra glitter, and as you can see, I've got more sparklies on my mat, and then I use the matte Squeak Clean Matte Mist just to spray it good and gently wipe it. And this is a non-linting cloth I got from like the dollar store, and then I just kind of wipe that off. But you can see I've used glitter on this quite a bit, so I have some where I've wiped it, but it doesn't affect anything. I still very sticky. So I'm just gonna let that dry a little bit and put that off to the side. Okay, so I did create a new one. I thought, no, there's a little, when there's a delay, I'll see if I can get a little closer if you can see that. It's, you know, it's very shiny, and it's flat, you know. Stickles can be raised a little bit, if that's what you were talking about. I use that kind of more like a puff paint or an accent, where like glitter glaze dries flat and has a little texture to it. All right, so this is going to be our piece for our card. So we need to cut that down. And I already have my card base in its, I do a 7 by 8.5, and I score it 3.5. Yeah, so it's 3.5 by 8. 8.5, that's my favorite slimline card when I make a slimline card. So I'm just gonna cut this down because I want it to be a little smaller. And because of the pattern, I tried to take a little off each end. And I could have cut this down ahead of time, but I already had some panels cut. And so when I make slimline cards, I put the panels off to the side, the extra pieces, and I just make them into slimline cards, and then I can cut them. So I'm just gonna kind of keep looking. I'm at 3.5. Yes, thanks, Penny. Yeah, hit the thumbs up button, please. I'd appreciate that. Let's see, how are we doing? That's 3.5. I want to go down a little bit more because I want to have a little bit of a black mat to accent this, since it's going to be on white. I am notorious for not being able to cut a straight line or draw a straight line, even with a ruler, so just so you know. So I always find myself I'm not sure what I do wrong, but I just do. So there's our background. And then I had some pre-cut panels in black cardstock already done. I probably will cut this down, but for now I'm just going to leave it until we get ready to assemble our card. So let me put that aside. So now I used the die of the month to create these little bugs. And I did do my pre-cutting. I have them all done but my purple. So I thought I'd show you how I put them together. Since it's flat, you can put, I would say you could put ink or acrylic, but I don't know if it would be glittery. I would probably put the glitter glaze over the ink or the acrylic paint pens. But because I haven't tried that before, you know, since it's flat, but because it's glittery and like this one's opaque, you would see the design underneath and it would leave the glitter on top. Same with the alabaster, I believe. So I have these little dip bins, and if you can tell, I cut everything out ahead of time so that I have them ready, but I didn't want to have to put all together for you guys, so this is repetitive. So I did a few, and I'm just going to use some barely, and I know I'm off screen probably a little bit. I'm just putting glue down and around. And then when I have little bits in the corners, what I do is I just kind of rub my finger to try to get them to that corner so it doesn't ooze out. And I line it up. I don't have any acrylic paint pens, so I don't, I know you do, and I don't know if so I couldn't try that. But like ink, since it's got a texture, Annie, like it's rough texture, like glitter, I don't know if you could like put specific ink on it. So I said I would ink underneath it. And if we have time, I have another card where I inked first, that I would ink underneath it. And if we have time, I have another card where I inked first and then I put that. So here's my little body. And the face was a little bit more fun to put together. I had to cut out a ton of eyes and mouths, but I realized that you could cut out an eye from both the bug face and the bee, or the ladybug and the bee, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. They're all one piece. So you cut out, this is for the ladybug, you cut out the cheek, the eye, and the mouth all together. I don't know if that will show in focus, but I'll try. And then this one is the bee, and it's the eye, the mouth, I don't know if that's the tongue or if that's the cheek. It could be either. I think it might be the tongue that can go inside, but I just cut out the eyeballs. I just lined them up because they're the same, so that way I wouldn't have to cut one little die over and over again. So what I did is I cut out, I saved all the little doohickeys, or all the little dots from all my little bugs, and I just put them in a cup, and then I'm just going to put a little glue in each. And I didn't keep, but when you cut this piece out, it leaves the one little dot up here, so I just kind of cut it in a triangle and attached it and left it, and then I'm going to cut it off. So let me grab this and stick these all in. I was going to do a ladybug in each color of the rainbow, but I couldn't quite get them to fit, so I thought this was a good extra way to do it, is to make the spots different color. So then once I have this, I can flip this over, scissors, and I just trimmed off the little butt, the little thing, so I could have a little polka dot. And I have to do that on my other bugs. I have all the other bugs ready here. So then for the face, I just put in a couple of dots for the eyes where I thought they'd look good. I'm using a detail grabber, jewel picker, whatever type of thing you have. It just kind of has, I just grabbed it careful, and I just attached, and I grabbed the glue in just a spot and kind of moved it down a little bit, because I'm going to add more glue where the middle of the eyeball goes. And just decide how I want my eyes to look. Do they want to look up? Do they want to look sideways? And then I just add a little bit more glue to the eyes, and I put a little piece for the mouth. And then I found with such a small part that if you didn't have the eyeball, the pupil, the right direction, nobody's gonna see. It's the same color as my stick here, so I can't quite tell if it's going down. And so I can just use the little end to kind of make sure it fits in there. And you wouldn't have to do this if you didn't want to, since I'm using a black face, but I like the dimension, so I did put them in since I had them. Just type them in there. And then last, I'm going to draw my little face, my little smiley face here. And what I like to do if I have a little extra glue is I either use a cloth or I kind of use my finger just to kind of wipe the glue up. so it doesn't, you can't see it. So, and then I'm just going to put some glue on the head and a little bit on each of it. I'm going to attach the head. And this doesn't have to be super precise. I just put on a little bit and put it down, kind of use it with liquid glue, you can wiggle it. And I found if I accidentally put it over too far, I could just cut the tip off. So there we have our little blue or purple. Let me quick cut these off and we'll start assembling our card. Oh, thank you, Rebecca. These are the cutest little bugs, little ladybugs. And I have an idea to use these dies to make a different animal, and I started making it, but it's not done yet. So I'll share it on the fan club page once I get it figured out. I'm super excited for it to see what it looks like and the way to modify the die. So now, like when I have these little pieces on the edge, I just kind of cut them a little bit off, a little bit more, just to kind of give them some curve. There we go. So we have our bugs. So now let's get our card assembled together. I'll set that on the side. I did find that when I'm using with this, like I said, this was just a scrap piece of paper I had on the side. The feet are very cute. It did a little bit of warping because I did so much glitter glaze, which is fine. I could put something heavy under it, but I found that if I just use, instead of liquid glue, if I use a tape runner, that it flattens easier, or you could use like foam tape. But I didn't want to add any extra dimension to this because I'm adding some layers. So I'm just going to add some tape. And then what I do when my mat is too big is I just try to line it up in the top first. You know, straight up there. And hopefully I'll be straight down below. And then if my mat is cut right, I shouldn't have to trim too much, but I see that this piece of paper, like I said, I'm trying this year to use up my scraps because I have so many scraps. That is a goal of mine, is to use scrap pieces first before I cut into cardstock, is to just line it up and see, like I see it's not quite, so I have to take off just a little bit. On the edge here, and then line this one up down here. Take off just a little bit, just kind of eyeballing it. I probably could take off just a teeny bit. This is where I usually make a mistake and don't cut it straight when I make a mistake, but people have heard this before, and I know my mom has heard this before, is that when I make a big blunder, if I still like my card and I can't fix it, I just send it to my mom. So, not that my mom will test, I probably don't send her enough cards, but, you know, she loves them anyway. Oh, my cutter is a beast. Oh, that's a really nice cutter. It's the, not the mini, it's the tonic. Or are you talking about my tape gun, Annie? The cutter, oh yeah, that was something I had been saving for, and I got around Thanksgiving with an order on Black Friday, I think, from the Brutus Monroe store. I got that. And I know he's got the mini one too, which eventually I would like to get, but I don't need that one right now. I'm happy with this. Once I get some tape on here, if I notice that I don't get all the way to the edge, that's when I use just a little bit of liquid glue. Just around the edges. Oh, the tape dispenser. Yeah, I like tape for certain things, and that's a refillable tape gun. So, and that's, you know, a lot of them use them for scrapbooking, they use them. So, I prefer liquid glue, but when I'm doing my mats, I like to use a tape gun. So yeah, I didn't cut this straight, so it's not going to be perfect. I'm going to pull it up just a little bit. I noticed my card base just a little bit. There we go, we fixed it. All right, so now we have our card base. And then I'm just going to use liquid glue. Hi Monica, thanks for joining us. I'm just starting to put the card together. And I have a second card I'm going to kind of play with here. Kind of depends on how you want. You can do them all wonky or whatever, but I'm just going to put them on. And I'm just going to put one. And then what I like to do is I just take an acrylic block and I set it on top to help it adhere it to that glitter. And then so I'll just keep attaching these little, and I always have to be careful because I always want to grab their feet. And I don't worry so much if I don't get glue on their feet. I mean, I can put a little glue on it, but it doesn't have to have a ton of glue because the bug itself has it. Tracy, I do too. I'm trying to do, I mean, I love, I wanted the bugs to stand out, but this unicorn has a little bit of a different color to it. It's not just clear. So that's why I wanted to use that glitter or glaze, because it gives you some color, but not, you know, it doesn't overtake the bugs. Does that make sense? I love this glue, Monica. It's the only glue that I really use anymore. I've been using it since last summer, and I've only filled it once. I got this one, I got the mini one, and then we got the bear, which is super adorable. I'll show that to you in just a second. It's on the other side of the room. So since last July, I have used up one bottle of this and this much, because this is the refill, and so I've filled it. Yep, that's the bear. It's the bear glue, and then I filled this jar with it. So, and actually I have some other smaller tubes that I've had a long time that are little. You know, like I have little ones like this, or if I have other glue bottles that I like the shape of for some reason, I use this to fill it. So, and then the two things I like about it in particular is I like the precision tip. I like the little plastic silicone nipple, I guess is what it is, to cover it when I'm not using it, or when I'm using it short periods of time. And then I do like that it has a needle that you can get to, that you can just put inside. It's worth it, Monica. It doesn't ever clog. Every once in a while, if I leave it just open like this while I'm crafting and I'm not paying attention, I might get a little, but I just stick the pin right in it and it comes back out. And then it just uses it. It's good. I use it for all my projects. Thanks, Tia. It's just because we don't see each other very often. And then I got my last little bug down here. He's going to be down. I'm going to cover up his fillets a little bit, so that because he's a little low, and I think if I can get him up a little bit. Nope, we're going to leave him right where he's at. So we're going to leave those sit here for just a minute. If you don't have acrylic blocks, you can use your Misty to set down on top, and then it will dry not too long. So I'm just going to let it dry for a couple seconds. We'll put that off to the side while we cut up our greeting. So I love the conversational clippings. They're foilable, which means, for those that don't know, it's printed so the black will foil with like a laminator and hot foil, or if you do this one, the black will foil and the writing will be white. So, oh, the refill bill is currently in stock. Okay, and the tips can be separately, yes. And I actually have a couple tips. I think I keep them on the side. So I actually only use this one. And if I use the smaller version, I just transfer it and put this cap back on. But I just usually use this size. It's just nice. But I'm going to use this Hello Friend, I Just Wanted to Bug You, because I thought that was really cute, because we've got bugs. And I have to check and see what page that's on. Here we are. So you get 2 of each. 2 in the black, 2 in the white. These are, these do come in the inspiration box, I believe, but you can buy that, which is, I think, this one, but these you can buy separately. They're available separately, so I do like them. Let's see here. Let me just set this to the side. We are almost done with this card, and then we'll go on to our hopefully bonus card. So I cut to the bottom of my trimmer. I just see other people doing it, and I just find myself that it is. So what I do is I line up the lettering right with this clear plastic piece, and that kind of gives me equal. And then I'll do the same thing on this side. I will line up the lettering as carefully as I can, using this metal piece to keep it straight. And then I do the same thing with this. I line it up, the lettering with the plastic, this plastic piece, because that gives me even spacing, which, like I said, I'm not the best at. And then I'm going to cut this, the hello friend, off. And then I have, there's one. And then this longer one, it doesn't have as big of a space, but that's what I'm going to do with this one too, is I'm going to say, I'm going to line up the D just, you know, I can't really line it up the same. I just kind of have to space it evenly between the two. And then cut it off. And then because these are printed on white core, I don't necessarily want this edge to show. So I just grab a black, like a black Copic marker, or you could probably use an ink pad, but I just use a black Copic my black Copic marker, or another type of thick marker, and I just go around the edges. You can leave that, you don't have to do this, but for this time I wanted it so that way you don't see that white edge. It doesn't stick out. And the reason I like to use I don't use the black Copic for anything else, is that it dries very quickly. Yeah, Monica, I fell in love with it watching lots of people using it, and I think, like I said, I don't know if you were here when I said I got it Thanksgiving last year. There was a sale going on some other things, and I added it to my cart when I was getting some stuff from the Brutus Monroe store, so I threw it in while I was getting some shipping. Okay, so now we've got those, and let's put those in our card. And then once again, I'm just going to take my liquid glue. I'll just use a little bit. I don't always use tweezers, sometimes I do. And I'm just going to stick it down and throw an acrylic block on top. Yes. Yes, it's there. Half the time I start watching a live, then I want to go shopping right away. Because it's like, ugh. Or even if I don't watch a live, I'm just watching a crafty video, I want to go shop right away. And right now, a lot of the videos I've gotten to watch, I've been watching during the slower times at work. And, you know, in the background, and I can hear it while I'm doing some other things that aren't distracting. And then I'm like, oh, I want to go to my craft with that. I have that. But I have to wait. So you have one last thing to do, which I forgot last time I did before I put the sentiment down. I want a little more sparkle. Cannot have a little more. Oh, your shopping penny, no problem. You can have two different ones. Depending on which one I grab. I think this is in the store right now. I think it's available. I don't think it's sold out, but this is the Lawn Fawn glitter pen, and you can use that. And I just kind of prep it on the side to dot, and then you can just go around and around, you know, and color it in. And or you can use a different glitter pen if you have one. To be honest with you, if you didn't, if you don't have a glitter pen, Pearl Aqua Pigment is one of my favorite things to add glitter for. I did not want to use it this time per se without watering it down, because I wanted the color to stand out, and this sometimes gives it a little bit more shimmer than I really wanted. So this time, so I would have just shook it up, put it on here, and put some water on it. But since I had the glitter pen right here, I just thought that would be a nice little thing to add some sparkle to our products. I'm just doing a quick circle. And then once it dries, if I see a spot I missed, I can go back and put some more in. Not pushing very hard, it's flowing nice since I pushed it down. I'm just gonna add some glitter. You could make, you could cut, oh, there's still something, oh, excuse me. You know, use some, Long Hunt glitter is sold out for right now. Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't know for sure. I didn't check this morning then. And I will add, I know Penny's got the links in the chats. I will tomorrow add some links to the products in the description box too. And when I have my computer, that's handier to use. So yeah, so no, I just add a little glue. We're just gonna put that aside and let it dry. And that is our card. You could probably add a stamp on the inside if you wanted to. I don't always until I get ready to sell it out or just send it out. And I think I used a different glitter pen here, and that's why it's still, but this one's still wet, so it's not showing up yet. And I will take pictures of this and get them uploaded tomorrow when I have better light. Oh, the detail grabber is too. It'll come back in stock, I promise. All right, so we have a little bit of time. I'm gonna skip a part, but I have one little bonus card that I thought we could try to make. As long as, can I show the glitter on the dots again? I certainly can. This one isn't dry yet, so it's not gonna be as glittery. But this one is dry. I don't know if it shows. I can't tell. Let me see if I can stand up and see. There you go. So, but I think that just adds an extra fun little element. Like I said, these are still drying, so that's why they might not be as glittery. Here, the pink up here, you can start seeing them. But they're not, they don't film very well on camera. The glitter doesn't always. That type of, without like a light or something. But I'm gonna try and do a quick one more card, and this is my other card. I just kept going with the rainbow thing. And I didn't put a sentiment on the front. I just went through and I used the Bed of Roses stencil in my stick and stamp mat, which I will very, very quickly, we will do that. Let me grab it. Put it in another spot. Where did I put it? There it is. Thank you. Hi, Dad. Even my dad's watching me craft. That's awesome. So, what I'm going to do quick, I might not put it down on a card base. Let's just grab a piece. This is just a standard A2 size card. Put this down on my stick and stamp mat. And I'm going to use the Bed of Roses stencil. I'm going to just stick it down. Now, I wasn't very careful when I was cleaning this after I got some older glitter glaze I had. And I bent up one of my stencils in the corner, but I can make that work. I just put it in this spot. And what I'm going to do is we're going to use some Simon Hurley inks. And that's a great song. What I find that if you want to make a rainbow and you don't want a lot, all you need is a blue, a red, and a yellow ink. And I'm going to use Bee Sting, Shooting Star, and No Diving. I always start with my yellow or my lightest color. And I'm just going to use some blending brushes. And what I did is I just went down right through the middle. I didn't clean my stick and stamp mat horribly well from the glitter, so it's a little bit loose over here. But I want to get my new one out yet because I want to open the package because we're going to run out of time today. And then I'm going to grab my red. And let's move this off to the side. I'm just going to grab it and I'm going to go in a circle motion. And this is that as I do because they're amazing. I actually need one more for sure, so that I have one for watercoloring. So look at how sticky it is. Oops. See how sticky that is? It's a brand new out of the package. You lost audio. Oh no, can you hear me? Oh, there you go. You can hear me now? Wait for someone to say something. Yep, okay, we're good. You can hear me? I'm not sure what happened there. Okay. So, thumbs up, you can hear me? Okay, thanks. Okay, so I'm just gonna stick it down. And then, well, like I said, I'm gonna line this back up as carefully as I can. This way. So I have this. I like how I started it. And if it's not perfect, it's okay, because we're gonna cover it up with some other stuff. And then, like I said, you're just gonna, it's not quite on here. There we go. All right. I'm still holding it down because it's so that it doesn't here, because I don't have any, it's not sticky obviously on my paper. And then I'm just gonna go over my yellow and I go around in a circle and I go back and forth a little bit. And then do a little bit more. And then I'm gonna quickly twist it around and add just a little bit, because I am a true fan of the real rainbow. You have to have purple. It's so sad when people don't add purple to real rainbows, because purple's my favorite color. And then I go over with a little more yellow, so I get a little bit more of that yellow, more of that orange in there, which is hard to see when the stencil's on it. And then we'll grab the blue here quick and go back. And because I want blue and red make purple, I just go quick like that and then go over here. And this shooting star or no diving make the most beautiful green color. So you don't have to, you know, if you have a limited space, you don't have to have all the colors of the rainbow. You know, like I said, buy the 3 main colors and you can make all of them. Now, what I did from here is I took some of my I took some of my glitter, unicorn glitter glaze, and I also spread it over that again. But I already have one done, so I'm just going to quick take that off and show you. Then what I do to get this off is I just kind of just carefully bend it till it starts to pop, and then it peels right off, and then it doesn't. And then I will quickly wipe it off. Now remember, some colors might stain your mat a little bit, but that's just the nature of the color. You know, reds tend to stain things more than anything, you know. My stamps tend to be stained with red when I use them. Yep. So there, and I just gently wiped it off. I don't rub, and it's all good to go. We'll give it a couple minutes to dry while we move on to our card. But what I did is I used that unicorn glitter glaze, and I covered all the stencils. So now I have rainbows that are glittery, or roses that are glittery. Then I also used the new, not remember exactly, Penny, I don't know if you can look this up, the name of this. This was a gift with purchase. I got some during the Easter eggs last year, but this set was part of the spring release. I don't have the name right here in front of me, but I die cut my panel out with this inner stitching rainbow, and then I took a piece of black cardstock for my mat and used the outside edge. I don't remember if this was called Bloom Spring Shine Bloom. Let me see if I have it handy right here. I keep, oh yeah, here it is, apologize. It's the Spring Sayings dies, but I like to keep them, I don't always keep all of my dies in pockets. Some of them I keep on magnets that I buy on the internet and put a piece of chipboard behind, especially if they're ones I use a lot. So, and then I just keep the packaging. So here's my panel. I'm just going to quick put that down. Oh, we got some time. We're doing okay. Quick glue it down. Spring Sayings. Thanks, Shannon. I just couldn't remember the name of that one. And then I just love it because you can line up, which I know you can't see the black mat, but you can line up it right along the stitching, which is perfect for a straight challenged person like me. I can never do anything straight. And then what we're going to do from here, before I do this, I want to take out my card panel because I forgot to do this when I was making my card. And I'm going to stamp on the inside, and that's where my sentiment is going to be this time. So let's get my stick and stamp mat out. I'm going to stick it down, and I'm just going to stick it down here in the bottom because it doesn't, and I do use my magnets just because this, I don't need it for this, but because sometimes your mouse pad slips underneath. Yes, Penny is awesome with that. Thank you so much. So that's why I use my magnets. It's not necessarily to hold my stick and stamp mat and my this, because that's fine. But if you know, this isn't perfect, my mouse pad isn't perfect, and it can wiggle. And instead of taping that down, I just put this in and then keep this in place. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use the Ladybugs, lovely Ladybugs. This was the inspiration box stamp this month. And it has coordinating dies. And I'm going to grab a ladybug. And I'm gonna grab Sending You a Love Bug Hug. I'm going to line up the Love Bug Hug. Actually, I'm going to change this, and I'm going to line this up at the bottom of this line. That's what these lines are perfect for. So it's okay if my card panel hangs out. We're going to pick up this. I'm going to stick my stamp in here while I'm at it, my little love bug here. And I'm going to use the Raven Detail ink, which is my favorite black ink, to do my sentiment. And like to do sentiments, I like to use my little fingers. That's the one thing that's nice about using the Misty and the stick and stamp mat. I can stamp twice if it's not a perfect stamp in the same spot and won't move. And kind of hurry just a little bit. It is a cute sentiment. Other ones in the set are just good luck and you make my heart smile. I am actually grab my little stamp press thing that a friend of mine made, and got that on there. And then I'm going to quickly grab the bee sting ink, and I'm just gonna, I don't want this to be, it doesn't have to be perfect, but I'm gonna do that and just kind of push my ladybug in, check it out. So I'm gonna make some room on my desk here. Nobody ever has that issue, right? Where your crafting space gets smaller as you craft. So then we do that, and then we do a little bit more. I don't necessarily have to have it super dark and thick. I just want to be able to see it. So that way I can write over it if I want. And then that's the inside of my card. And then, like I said, just pull it off and I'll clean that in just a minute. I can clean that when we're done. So that's my card, inside of my card. I did, I guess, add the heart to my other one in here too, and I'll add that later. But now we need to create our little focal point, which we're going to do another rainbow bug. And then once again, I have everything pre-cut. And I was on the fence about using a black base with the white, but I changed my mind after I cut them all out and decided to use the white one. Because I wanted more of a rainbow, the rainbow button. And I did try to add purple to my ladybug, because like I said, I love purple in a rainbow, but I just didn't end up liking how it looked. So I just kind of left it off. I'm just going to line this up again. I don't know if my face is done on this one. We'll put that together last. We've got 10 minutes yet, I think, right? And once again, put all the glue in my little dots. And these are where I kept all the dots from all those things I cut out, all the other ones that I cut out, because you never know when you want to use them. I'll get my head out of the way here. I mean, I even saved the white dots there because you never know if you want a white polka dot. You can put them in a plastic baggie. And the red one I put in the corner. And then I just went around the rainbow. There's my orange. I will skip orange for now. Maybe I'll have to cut another one out. And a yellow. Same thing. Am I out of green? I might be out of green too. Well, I will add those after. I guess I'm out of green and purple. I didn't realize that. I thought I had enough cut out. Well, you know what I'll do? We're going to use some white ones. And a quick answer. We're going to grab some quick Copic markers. I got the YR18. I'm just going to quick color them. I'm going to fix that all up. And while it dries, we'll color the next one, and that'll work for our colors. Right? Oh yes, the new stamps come out, or the new inspiration box will be coming out in April. Rather, we need a green. So I just grabbed YG67. Does anyone have any questions while I'm doing this? Okay. There's my green. And we need blue. I'm going to grab B37. And I'll just put colored in. And we can add those quick too. Red, orange, yellow, green, there's my blue. They're not quite. The blue is a little bit darker, but I think once it dries, the Copic marker dries back, it'll be perfect. Put that back in there. Come on. Stay open. All right. I just press those in real good. We got our little face here that we'll quickly put together. I said die cutting for this many is what took probably the longest. I'm looking for my little faces. What did I do with them? Oh, right here. Sorry. And once again, I'm going to use the white first. And make them. I actually know what I was originally going to do. I was going to put googly eyes on this, but I forgot to grab them out. My niece loves googly eyes. And I think I gave her some not too long ago. Because I had a bunch, and I was like, I can't use all these googly eyes, so I thought you should have some of these. I think before Christmas I might have. Or maybe last summer. I have my little mouth over here. And then I'm going to grab the little pupils. Because I have them, so I'm going to use them. Get it in there. It's moving around a lot. It's not liking me. Come on. There we go. Oh, there we go. And that, because it's liquid gold, can get moved down a little bit. And ooh, did I miss the other people? I might have to cut a pupil out. It looks like they might have disappeared. That's okay. I can add that a little bit later. Oh, look. There he is. There he is. I need some blue in there. Oh, you have a large supply of googly eyes. Awesome. I won't send you any googly eyes for a while. Just kidding. I don't have that many. I have some. All right. So there's my little face. I'm kind of scoop off a little bit of that extra glue there. And then we're going to add our little face. to add it put that down up there. Now that that's dry, I can cut off the edge of it. And we're getting close to the end of time, but we're almost done here. And then what I did is I just found some black circles that were in my scrap bin, and I thought, perfect, we're going to use it. I know his head gets a little bit lost, but I figured it'll be okay. So just stick a little glue down in our guy. I'm going to stick him over to the right just a little bit, because I'm going to stick this whole circle down on my mat, and I'm going to over just a tiny little bit, push that down, and flip it over and cut that little edge off just a little bit. There we go. So it lines up with the edge, and then we can attach it to our card base. And I'm going to put my glue. Got our card base here. This one was a top fold. Oh no, that's I guess I have extra card base here. Top folding card. And this one matches up perfectly, so I can just line it up in the corner. I always line it up at the top first, because if I have a little bit over, I can cut it off with my trimmer. And that is our card. So the lovely ladybugs. Grab the other card here. And there's, oh, thanks, Rebecca. Like I said, I just saw rainbow bugs, and I thought this is perfect. Something different to do besides the red and black ladybug. You know, I love making rainbow cards and using up, you know, I used up scraps for all of these, and it just makes a bright and cheerful card. And same thing with this one. You can make the different color roses, and then you've got the glitter on both. You could add glitter to these spots. I didn't this time because I have all the glitter on my roses and this one. So does anyone have any questions? I want to thank you for joining me tonight. I hope you enjoyed my cards, and please give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this. Yes, you can sign up for the Create Your Own event on August. You can use Afterpay to pay for it in, I think, 4 payments. It's going to be great. I appreciate it. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you soon. Please don't forget to create your own ending, and I appreciate y'all. Thank you so much. Thank you, you guys. Good night. It'll take me a second to end this.